We all make mistakes at work from time to time, but these mistakes don't normally end up costing us billions of dollars. Mistakes on construction mega projects, however, do, from gigantic skyscrapers shaking and collapsing, to scandals and corruption delaying billion-dollar projects by decades. Building melts cars. 20 Fenchurch Street is better known as the Walkie-Talkie. It is said to be one of the ugliest buildings in London, but that is the least of its problems. The building was constructed and sold to a Hong Kong company for $1.8 billion. The building was made almost totally from glass. This caused the sun to reflect off it. This happens with normal skyscrapers too, but normal skyscrapers have straight walls. The Walkie-Talkie's wall, however, was curved. The concaved curvature meant that the sunlight reflected off the building onto the sidewalk below it. This made the buildings, houses, and the street below it incredibly hot. If you stood under the building, you would experience sun rays reflecting on you 6 times stronger than normal. The extreme heat caused people to faint, and even melted very expensive cars parked on the street. The sidewalks also began to crack from the heat. To demonstrate just how ridiculous this was, a Sky News reporter fried an egg on the street. He was able to fry an egg in seconds using only the heat reflected from the building. The building was designed by architect Raffaele Vanoli, and this is not the first time he's made a building with this same exact design flaw. Another one of his buildings, the Vdara Hotel in Las Vegas, had this exact same problem. Eventually, a $14 million sunshade had to be installed on the building. So if you're planning on building a skyscraper in a hot area, maybe don't use Raphael. Shaking skyscraper. In May of 2021, the SEG Plaza in Shenzhen, China was evacuated. That is, after the 300-meter-high skyscraper began shaking. A video was posted to social media of people running in fear while the building behind them was shaking wildly. Terrified bystanders evacuated the building and ran away, afraid it could fall on them at any moment. The building is the 18th tallest tower in Shenzhen. This only happened a month ago, but an investigation has already been launched. A civil engineer said that 70 floors must be examined, which will cost millions of dollars. And it will likely cost millions or tens of millions of dollars to fix the problem. Since this incident, the SEG Plaza has been closed. The Shenzhen government said that based on analysis, a seismic event has been ruled out. This means it was not an earthquake or anything natural, and instead a fault with the building which has to be fixed. Miami apartment collapse. This event happened just 5 days ago. Dramatic surveillance footage captured a 12-story apartment complex in Miami collapse. It's believed that a structural defect was to blame. The apartment complex had been there for 40 years, but it only took a matter of seconds for it to completely collapse. The building actually collapsed in 3 stages. At first, the center collapsed, then the north face, and then the east face. Some believe that the poolside area may have caved in first. A 2018 inspection highlighted a major error in the original design. The engineer Frank Morabito warned that the ground floor pool deck was not sloped to drain any water. This meant that the water simply sat there until it evaporated. This could have weakened the structure of the entire building, causing it to collapse. Inside the concrete of the building is reinforced steel, but if water got into the concrete, this would rust the steel and corrosion would build up. Pressure would then eventually cause cracks in the concrete, causing the building to collapse. Some now think that the surrounding buildings may also be at risk now. This includes Champlain Towers North and also 87 Park. The collapse caused more than $30 million worth of damage, and at the time of recording this, the search for survivors is still ongoing. Citigroup Center. The Citigroup Center is a skyscraper in Manhattan, New York. It is 918 feet tall and supported by 4 foundational pillars, all 111 feet tall. But one day a college student realized a major flaw with this building. Diane Hartley was having a conversation with her professor William Lemessurier. She claimed that the engineers had accounted for the winds that came perpendicular to the building, but not the quarter winds that hit the corners of the building. This meant the building could fall over at any moment. Engineers carried out tests and found that she was right, and that a wind that could knock over the building would happen once every 16 years. If the building fell, it would not simply collapse upon itself. Instead, it would topple over onto other buildings, causing a domino effect. This would destroy many buildings in New York and cost many lives. At the time, Hurricane Ella was making its way directly to the city, so engineers had to act fast. The public was not told because they did not want to create a mass panic. Instead, at night, engineers worked discreetly for 3 months. Eventually, they welded lots of steel plates onto the building. This increased the Citigroup's center, and thankfully Hurricane Ella did not reach the city. The public only found out years later. That was when William Le Mesurier told the story at a party and someone leaked it to the press. Jeddah Tower. The Jeddah Tower is a massive billion-dollar construction project in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. When completed, it will be as big as 2 Empire State Buildings. It is supposed to be the first 1-kilometer-high building in the world. Construction began in 2013, with the project completion date set for 2018. But in 2021, the building is still incomplete. This is mainly because of the 2017 to 2019 Saudi Arabian purge. This saw hundreds of arrests of prominent Saudi Arabian princes, government officials, and businessmen. This was by the country's new leader, Mohammed bin Salman. This caused the Jeddah Tower to stop being built, with only a third completed so far. Many investors who had sunk billions into the project were arrested. Berlin Brandenburg Airport. This airport is one of the most failed construction projects in the world. The amount of things that have gone wrong is so insane, I've made an entire video all about it. Construction began in 2006 in Berlin, Germany. It was expected to cost $2.4 billion and be completed in 2011. But so far it's cost around $6 billion and is still incomplete. At first, one of the main development companies funding the airport's construction went bankrupt. Then none of the fire alarms worked. Then none of the departure screens worked. Then 34 miles of the wrong cooling pipes were installed. By the end of the year, it's expected this will have cost $8.4 billion so far, and it likely still won't be finished by then. In 2020, the airport did partially open, but they now don't have enough money to maintain the airport, which will cost an extra $2 billion. So this entire thing may go bankrupt and be shut down. Shanghai apartment collapse. In 2009, the Lotus Riverside Block 7 collapsed. This was a 13-story apartment block located in Shanghai, China. The building was brand new, but the cause of the collapse was because of the construction of a garage under the building. Large quantities of earth were removed and dumped in landfill. When it rained, this created a muddy foundation for the building, which caused it to fall over. It's believed this cost around $80 million. Now it's time to make your voice heard. Comment below which construction mistake was the worst in this video. But as always, thanks for watching. Here are some more videos you might like. Be sure to leave a like rating if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to Top 10s.